Whoa.
Sir?
Right. Let's thaw him out.
Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. Cracking the case in 30 seconds. He's hot! Blowing the pins in 5!
Did you miss me? It feels good to be back in the saddle. Hello everybody, my name is The Wanderer, and today I return from my hiatus to discuss a highly interesting yet concerning topic to me. A lot has happened over the last 6 months in the world. One of the minor happenings has been whispers coming from Bethesda, ZeniMax, and their new daddy Microsoft. That sounded kind of kinky. Before we discuss these rumours, however, I want to first state that this is yet another entry into A Wanderer's Perspective, a series where I discuss things, Fallout or not, that interest me. I want to first state that everything I say today is simply my opinion, and you are welcome to share your own in the comments below whether you agree or disagree. Allow me to state something to get us started. Fallout New Vegas 2 gives you Fallout fans goosebumps, eh? A sequel to one of the most beloved Fallout games and one of the best in my humble opinion. Well, as great as this sounds, it might not all be sunshine and rainbows. Before I explain why I believe this, let's cover the rumours. According to multiple sources which I've linked in the description of this video, Fallout New Vegas 2 is in very early talks at Microsoft, who now own ZeniMax, Bethesda, and therefore Fallout as an IP. Not only this, Microsoft have also owned Obsidian Entertainment, developers of the original Fallout New Vegas, for a lot longer. And a lot of these articles seem to be pointing to Obsidian being the developers of this sequel, which obviously makes sense because they made the first one. Most of this is just rumours and word of mouth, so whether this will actually happen or not is really up for debate. I do recall Todd Howard once saying that Bethesda are rather reluctant to hand off the Fallout IP to someone else, but that's something I remember reading some time ago, and things obviously can change. The articles all seem to point to it happening years and years away if that were the case, but hypothetically, let's say that Fallout New Vegas 2 is happening. At first these rumours got me pretty excited. Oh man, a sequel to one of my favourite games of all time? No way! But after a while, I started to think. And the more I thought, the less excited I got about this, and the more concerned I grew for a potential sequel. How come, you ask? Well, I have a multitude of reasons that I wish to break down in this video. The first of my reasons is track records and company reliability. By this point we're all aware of Bethesda's track record post Skyrim. It hasn't been great. Fallout 4, while a fantastic way to bring Fallout to a new generation of gaming tech, now known as the last gen, was not great in many of its narrative choices or RPG mechanics. Need I even start in Fallout 76? That is, of course, not to shit on anyone's parade if you actually enjoy these games. I enjoy Fallout 4, for example. This is obviously just my perspective as I stated, but I definitely think Bethesda has dropped the ball and has lost touch with Fallout a little bit. At least in my opinion. Even if this is my take on Bethesda handling the Fallout IP in the last decade or so, it wouldn't be them making this as the rumours state, right? So we're in the clear? Wrong. If you think Obsidian will make something on par or greater than what Fallout New Vegas has to offer, I think you're setting the bar too high, my friend. Most of the staff that worked at Obsidian with any experience with Fallout, whether that be with Black Isle Studios and the classics or the development of Fallout New Vegas, are long gone, having left the company years ago. I suppose one could hope that the current Obsidian devs have the talent to use the Fallout IP wisely and create something fantastic, but then again, from their current track record, I'm not confident it will live up to anything that the original offered. And that's with respect. Let's take The Outer Worlds for example. A pretty solid game, fun gameplay, and good dialogue and RPG mechanics, but very short. Content wise, there wasn't much that The Outer Worlds offered in my opinion. I heavily doubt we'd get anything the size, scale, and magnitude of Fallout New Vegas. As for my next point, sequels can be a make or break for game franchises. Some good examples of sequels done amazing would be a second entry into the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic series, or Halo 2. With that said, there can be times where a sequel can really piss on the parade that the first installment set up. The new Star Wars films, for example. What's my point with this useless and efficient analysis of some other unrelated video games and media I like? Well, like I said, a sequel is a make or break. and I'm afraid that Fallout New Vegas 2 might just break the original. I don't see how a sequel to New Vegas could be done correctly, and perhaps that's just bad brain power and an unwillingness and almost a fear to ruin it, but I think the ending and the events that happen in the ending credits of Fallout New Vegas were, in my opinion, fairly conclusive. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wanderer, you do realize that there was post-game content that was cut from Fallout New Vegas that was going to be in the game? To answer this, yes, I do, and I combat this statement by saying that each ending had its own post-game content carved out depending on which ending you chose. For example, if you chose Yes Man as your main quest, he would shut down and leave you as leader of New Vegas. I recommend watching Triangle City's video if you want to hear about some more of the post-game content that was planned for Fallout New Vegas but didn't make the cut. If Obsidian or Bethesda were to make a sequel to Fallout New Vegas, it requires the devs to then choose one of these major endings to be the canonical true ending, which ties into my next point to do with the community. One of the big talking points of the Fallout community is which ending of Fallout New Vegas is the canonical one. Having that confirmed for us kinda takes away from that discussion and the community as a whole. This point is simply up to personal preference, and some may agree and disagree with the community aspect here, but I thought it was worth bringing up nonetheless. And for my final point, location, location, location. Fallout as a series is famous for its unique and interesting uses of real-world locations in its games. Seeing the New Vegas Tower looming in the distance like a hellish obelisk in New Vegas is truly a sight to behold. Or the Washington Monument, a beacon of hope and steel in Fallout 3 among the chaos of the busy city streets, which are crowded with raiders and super mutants. I'd say these unique and interesting uses of real-world locations has become more of a staple than anything else in Fallout really, and it's a big part of community discussion. What if my house got nuked and Fallout took place where I live? Don't lie to me, pal, you've had that thought. To go back to New Vegas for a sequel takes away from this part of Fallout, as it's just going back to the same location again. While we have seen this happen in Fallout 1 and 2, both taking place in California, they offer different locations of California, so therefore don't really apply to this argument. Sure, things will have changed in Vegas, but I'm sure people will agree with me that seeing something new that we haven't seen before in Fallout is far more interesting than going back to the same location again to appease classic fans, taking me to my next point. I feel like the only reason a Fallout New Vegas 2 is even being talked about is to soothe the harsh criticism of classic, angry fans who feel as if Fallout has lost key pieces of its identity that they grew up with or fell in love with Fallout for. A lot of which I actually find myself agreeing with, so long as it doesn't include harassing devs. This may seem like it'll work and get classic fans who like New Vegas back on board, but it won't. If anything, these fans will see it as a spit in their face, taking something they love and throwing it on the ground. From my perspective at least, the feedback won't be good. So that's pretty much all of the points I really have. Be sure to let me know if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said in today's video in the comments section. And before we wrap this up, one more thing. I've talked a lot today about why I think New Vegas 2 is a bad idea as a game, but I haven't really provided any alternatives, so let me provide one now. If not New Vegas 2, then what? Fallout 5 is the short answer, but I want to say this as well. Fallout New Vegas is a fan favorite game for a reason. It took the 3D and immersive world of Fallout 3 and threw in a Western influence that had been kind of diluted in Fallout 3, adding familiar factions from the classic games. What I would like to see from Fallout 5 is the Western influence that New Vegas and the classics had return, with factions old and new and well-written characters, quests and lore to accompany it, as Fallout New Vegas is a fan favorite for its lore as well. Merge this with a new location, preferably on the west coast to fit with the western theme, with an even greater version of the gameplay Fallout 4 gave us, with little to no retcons because those things suck. And you have a real nice Fallout game right there. Be sure to let me know if you would want to see this as a Fallout game, and whatever you would like to see in another Fallout game below. But try to keep it brief. I'm not trying to read entire essays. And that about does it. Thanks for watching this entry into a Wanderer's perspective, and I'd love to know your opinions in the comments below. I'll be back soon with my next Fallout lore video on Liberty Prime, so please stay tuned. Before I chime out, I'd like to thank the Wanderer supporters who, surprisingly, despite my nearly 7 months of inactivity, decided to still pledge money. It's greatly appreciated, guys. I'd like to thank Cypriot Fox, Bonk, Lovable Douchebag, Splicer87, and The Useless Show. Your continued support over these last few months is heartwarming, and I hope I'll be able to continue delivering more content for you to enjoy early in the future. If you want a shout out at the end of each of my videos, exclusive early access to any of the videos I make, as well as access to a super duper secret Discord server, consider becoming a Wanderer supporter today by clicking the join button for £1 a month. Until next time, this has been the Wanderer.